Hey guys, this is Narendra here from Sporty Affairs. This video is continuation of our last video, so please enjoy. So let's discuss some iconic tests over the years starting from 2019. So the first test series was between Australia and England. As we know, that is called as Ashes series. England were hosting Australia. They were playing 4 test matches. It was an iconic series in a way because it was the comeback series for David Warner and Stevie Smith after 1 year suspension from all format of cricket. Everyone was hoping that those two guys will be rusty and will not be at their peak to play an Ashes series. But since from the previous series Australia were anticipating those two big names into their squad, and as soon as they were available to pick, both started with the first test match. From Stevie Smith's perspective, everyone was hoping he will not be able to cope up with the bowlers of England because the ball moves sideways very much compared to Australian pitches. But Stevie Smith came on top. He scored centuries on both the innings. It is very rare occasion where a batsman score centuries in the both innings of a single test match. He scored 144 in the first inning and 142 in the second inning. Australian bowler also backed the batting efforts from the Australian side, and Nathan Lyon and Pat Cummins came on top, and Australia won the first test match 251 runs. In the second test match, Australia won the toss and decided to bowl, inviting England batsmen to bat. England only scored 258 runs. Pace attack from the Australian side picked 3 wickets each by Hazelwood and Pat Cummins. Stevie Smith again came on top and scored 90 plus runs in the first inning of the second test match. In the second inning, from the England side, Ben Stokes scored 100, but eventually the test match was drawn. Third test match has a separate importance of it because this was do or die match for England to come back in the series. Australia was already 1-0 up in the series, 2 test match was gone. Third test match, England won the toss and inviting Australian batsmen to bat. This test match everyone will be remembering for the ferocious effort by Ben Stokes. He scored 135 runs on the final day, fighting for that one final wicket. So everyone says that if they would have had one review left, or they wouldn't have taken that one last DRS review earlier, then they would have taken that one review and they would have won the match then and there itself. Having said that, Nathan Lyon did miss one simple run out when just 2 runs were left, and again, as they say, rest is history, and England won that iconic test match. Also, apart from that, since Ben Stokes has already won the World Cup for England, and after this test match he was named Sportsperson of the Year for the year 2019. In the fourth test match, Australia won the toss and decided to bat. Again, after losing 2 early wickets, Marcus Labuschagne and Stevie Smith were on the crease, and Marcus Labuschagne scored 67 and Stevie Smith went on to score double 100 in the first inning, and in the second inning he scored 82 runs. Both the spacer Hazelwood and Pat Cummins took important wicket. Pat Cummins was one of the crucial wicket taker pacer from the Australian side, even though Mitchell Starc was sitting on the bench for the initial 2 test matches. He came back into the series but couldn't take any crucial wickets. Fourth test match was won by Australia by 185 runs, and everyone moved on to the final test match with the series 2-1. At this moment, England needed to win the final test match desperately. With the fourth test match won by Australia, Australia was not going to lose this series. At the match day the series will be drawn and the Ashes will be retained by Australia. In the final test match taking place at the Oval, in the final test match Australia won the toss, decided to bowl first, inviting England batsmen on the day 1. England batsmen scored 294 runs. Australia came to bat, and Jeffrey Archer bowled a special spell in his life. He scored a 6 for first time in his test career, and Australia were bowled out at 225 runs. Australia never came back into the game, losing session after session, and in the end they lost the test match by 135 runs. This was the moment where Australia could have won the Ashes in England again after so many years. but they missed this opportunity and England were able to draw the series 2-2.
So, like Narendra discussed Ashes, I would like to discuss another iconic series, and that's India Down Under. It was Australia versus India. Now, this series had its ups and downs, and it was, for a neutral, I would say, it was a very mouth-watering clash. So, let's discuss test by test. The first test, which took place between Australia and India, went both ways. In the first innings, India scored 244 and Australia were bowled out for 191, with just their wicketkeeper Tim Paine scoring 73. But something happened in the second innings for India, and India were bowled out for 36 runs. Actually, not bowled out, I would say. They lost their 10th batsman due to injury, but it considers as a bowled out due to current rules. This test had many other iconic feats, like for example, in the innings in which India was bowled out for 36, no batsman, including extras, scored double-digit figures, and Australia easily won the test with 8 wickets to spare. Now in the second test, nobody gave India a chance, mainly due to their horrific second innings performance in the first test, and also due to the fact that they are going to lose their captain due to personal family reasons. But India had other ideas. Not only did they bowl out Australia for less than 200 in both the innings, it was also the first time Australia have failed to score 300 plus, 250 plus runs in the first two tests they have played in Australia. And India, under the guidance of Ajinkya Rahane, their stand-in skipper, comfortably won the test by 8 wickets. Now coming to the third test, Steve Smith had a relatively quiet first two tests according to his standards, so he had a point to prove in the third test, which he did by scoring a fantastic century in the first innings of Australia. This test went both ways in all over the course of 5 days, and nobody knew who was going to win. Injuries aside, this test also had a lot of drop catches to its name. In the first innings, Australia attained a lead of 114 runs, and in the second innings, Australia scored 312 runs for the loss of 6 wickets. In the first innings, Australia got a lead of 114 runs, and in the second innings, Australia scored 312 runs at the loss of 6 wickets. India was chasing a target of 407 in that test, which they started pretty well with the resilience of Pujara, Rahane, and the swashbuckling punt, taking them closer to the victory. But however, after losing too many wickets, they decided to go for the draw in that test, with the heroic efforts of Hanuma Vihari, who was injured at that time, and Ravichandran Ashwin holding the fort for a lot of overs at the end. Now, due to this, Australia had to win the fourth test to reclaim the Border Gavaskar trophy, because in the previous series, India had beaten Australia to get the title. Now let's come to the iconic Gaba test, which was the fourth test of the series. Well, I have no words to describe, and this gives me a feeling of 2001 test series between India and Australia. We have witnessed something like this almost 20 years after that series, and this was a test series which will be etched in the minds of every Indian there is. Australia started pretty well in the fourth test by scoring 369 runs, and India, well, they were on course to hand Australia a very healthy first innings lead. But Washington Sundar, who was making his test debut, and Shardul Thakur had other ideas. They forged a 123-run partnership for the 7th wicket, thereby reducing the deficit for the first innings hugely and handing Australia just 33 runs lead. Now Australia had two options in front of them, either to play for a draw or go for the kill. And knowing Australia, they went for the kill. But by doing so, they lost too many wickets on the fourth day and ended up bowling out for 294 runs, which left India to chase 328 runs in almost 4 sessions. But weather had other ideas, and it completely washed out the third session, handing India to chase 328 on the 5th day of the Gaba wicket. Now India started very well, with Shubman Gill scoring 91 and Cheteshwar Pujara holding his fort like he always did in these test series. The plan was pretty simple, that Pujara will hold one side of the crease and other batsmen would keep scoring. And nobody expected India, to be honest, to go for the win. But with this young team and this mindset and the guidance of Ajinkya Rahane, they went for it. So India looked pretty calm to chase the target with 20 overs to spare, but Patrick Cummins, who was the main bowler of this series, had other ideas and he started chipping wickets on the other end. But Rishabh Pant made sure he kept his cool, he kept his calm and took India over the line. This was India's first ever win at Gava, and this was also Australia's first ever loss at Gava in over 32 years. By doing so, India reclaimed the Border Gavaskar trophy by not only drawing but actually winning the Test series 2-1.
We follow many sports, and over the course of time you will see on this channel that we post a lot of videos in different sports such as football, soccer, etc, etc. But the main thing we started with this video is because of Test cricket. Test cricket is heart and soul of cricket, and with the declined viewership there may not be a future Test match played across the world. So with this video we want to spread a message that the kind of Test cricket we want to see is happening, but there is not a viewership. There needs to be some tricks or some tweaks, minor tweaks needs to be done for the Test cricket, such as how India organized the day-night Test match and converted entire city pink, and a massive amount of crowd witnessed that Test match in person attendance at the Kolkata Stadium, Eden Garden. If you guys have any comments that needs to be covered in terms of topic or suggestion, please mention those down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and this is Narendra and Mithilesh signing off for Sporty Affairs.